recording now. All right.
Everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Scion Vlog 22, where we talk about exciting, upcoming things.
Yes, basically we're going to mostly talk about, if you didn't know, Onyx Pats did an AMA this past week on Reddit, which means that they did a big post where they were like, come in and ask us any questions you want to, and we'll try to answer it. And the Scion developer, Joe Carricker, was in there. So we and a bunch of other people went in and bombarded him with Scion questions, and now we know more than we used to about upcoming Scion second edition.
Obviously it's pretty far off. I think they just kind of got him on board for it specifically and just really started working on it. So we don't know a whole lot. We got a lot of answers that were, don't know.
Too early to tell.
Yeah,
but
too early to tell.
We did learn a lot of stuff, so we're going to kind of recap in case you weren't in there or you missed something, because Reddit can be kind of a big mess of commenting, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff.
Yep.
So, first of all, Joe Carricker is the official Scion developer for the second edition. He previously...
You don't think it's Karaker?
You know, I didn't ask.
Okay.
I don't think it's Karaker, though. I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
Cool, that's a cool name.
Anyways, he previously worked on Scion First Ed. He worked on the Tuatha De Danann section of the Companion. And then he also said that he worked on some of the Underworld and Touchstone sections of Demigod. So if that was stuff you enjoyed, that guy is heading it up, and we're pretty excited about it. Those are some of our favorite parts of those books. So. He also said that he's an amateur historian mythographer himself, and he really loves mythology and religion. And one of our favorite things ever that he said the whole time is he said the line, "I will not put something out there just because it's cool. It's going to also have to be right." So he was very committed to. I don't want to say committed. I'm not Joe Carricker's boss, but he did make it seem like he was really interested in doing some accurate mythology, doing some stuff that pulls more from world mythology than from made up stuff. So that was really exciting for us because we really enjoy that. And then I have a big list here of things that he told us might happen in second edition. So if you guys would like a few more details, and again, these are things that were said in the AMA. Maybe they won't end up happening. You know, obviously nobody's trying to lie to us.
It's super early, but this is what we have so far.
We don't know anything you guys don't know. We're just repeating stuff that was told there. He mentioned that we'd like it to have a more global focus. It'll hopefully be a little bit less Eurocentric than the original Scion, which was pretty much Greek-Norse party all day. So that's hopefully going to be interesting. He mentioned the possibility of having something that helps explain kind of what virtues are more thoroughly, so that it's a little easier to understand, and how they affect you as a Scion, and then something that maybe would help give some guidelines for Pantheon building, which I know a lot of players are interested in. He said that he can't promise anything, but there might be some work done on a transition guide if you have a lot of stuff from first edition of Scion that you want to move into the second edition. Yeah,
if you have a game that you want to transition, they do that with most editions of their games. So
right, like the Vampire 20th anniversary, they put out, around that time, they put out like some translating stuff from Masquerade to Requiem. So
well, Requiem had that when it came out too.
Right.
Generally.
So that's pretty exciting, and having the more global focus is really exciting because, you know, a lot of really cool mythologies are ones that aren't necessarily super well known to all of us Eurocentric folk who live in Europe and the Americas. So, when asked what the biggest changes are going to be, he said he wants to really do a lot of changes to what fate bonds are and how they work, which is really cool because the original system fate bonds kind of don't do much. They're a really cool idea that doesn't work.
Yeah, like I've had difficulty doing it, so if they can.
Yeah, and we don't know what that'll look like. Just that it's one of the big changes they're talking about making. He also said they want to do a big change to the Nax system. We don't know what that'll look like yet, but he wants to kind of change how they work in the world.
My guess is something more progressive, like where the Nax progress through the trees, but how like there'd actually be some like more structure.
Okay. They are pretty freeform now. I don't know we don't know anything, so I don't know if they'll still be attached to epics, if they'll have to.
Like my idea of like. From what he said, what I got from it was maybe something like Stamina has the the body armor tree, and so that goes like from body armor to another thing, and then right now we have it split off to like armor or tough nail, and then
invulnerable nail, and then unbreakable.
Yeah, so something more like that in the focus of the main game, or something like maybe that it's like tank armor, like maybe Colossus armor, good shit, like something like that gets shipped.
It'd be cool to see more progression, like just because so many Nax right now kind of are random standalone level ones that don't really connect to anything.
I mean, that's what I would do if I was to redo the Nax. I would try to have more of a smooth progression and less blah 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 blah. Like Stamina's a fucking mess.
We don't know what they're gonna do, but they're going to do something, so that'll be cool. Another thing they mentioned that they really want to work on is the different tiers of power in Scion, hero versus demigod versus god, and how those are different, how playing
what
in
they
them is
mean,
different,
yeah,
what the power scaling system means. They didn't give us any commitment to whether they're keeping epic scaling, whether they're doing a new kind of scaling system, so we really have no idea. But they definitely want to work with the differences between those power levels. Which
I don't think you need to keep saying that, but they didn't tell us.
I don't think you're the boss of me.
Okay, well, it's become repetitive.
I think that there may be more of a system where, like, the scaling within, like, Hero is more important than, like, the scaling from Hero to God, but he did also say that we want to make sure that it's a game that works all the way up the chain. Hey, baby. Yeah, and then they also said, what he did say was that the Pantheons from the original core will be returning. So I think we're probably going to see the original core 6, which was Aesir, Escalante, Amatsukami, Loa, Dodecatheon, and Pesjet. So we'll probably be seeing those again, which is not a big surprise. They're the most well-known ones. He also said likely others, so hopefully more Pantheons than that. I don't know if they'll come out in the beginning, but, you know, that's good that that's on the table. One of the biggest things that was mentioned a few times is that they're going to do some new settings for Scion, and he said at least 4, maybe more in the future. And so, I'm not really sure what that means.
I know what it means.
Go talk about it then.
You're going to have settings for the game. So it'd be like,
right,
okay, so
we know what settings are.
So in one world, you would have, okay, these are the 4 different ways you can play Scion. You got one where it's like normal Scion right now. It's modern day, the Titans have broken out. You're fighting a war against the Titans, and your godparents are helping you through that. Another one, kind of a post-apocalyptic idea, where the Titans have been out for a long time, and Earth has been struggling and fighting with that, and you guys are kind of brought about as like a last-ditch hope for the new world. Maybe a lot of the gods have died at this point. And another one might be take place in like ancient Greece, and you can like go back and just do during the actual times of Hercules kind of thing.
There are tons of different historical settings that they could use. You know, there are tons of ways of working with who the antagonists are and all of that. So that's something that I think they're going to do a big focus on, because the original Scion was kind of light on setting. Mm-hmm. It was like, it's the modern day, do whatever you want, which I think is really good because it gives you a lot of creativity. But I think that that'll be something for those folks who have always kind of wanted more setting stuff. They're definitely talking about it a lot in the AMA. And then the other thing that was mentioned was Example Chronicles. So I don't know if they're going to go the full thing where they give you the entire adventure the way they did through the 4 books or they did in Ragnarok, but he definitely mentioned Example Chronicles.
Probably that's what they generally are doing with the other lines.
Yeah.
Right now it's one of the big things going on with the other lines. Like the God Machine is coming out that kind of lets the other lines go into Demon and stuff.
Right, exactly. There was no mention of Scion crossing over into any of the other lines, which I think is good. So
I think it might be though.
You think so?
I think so.
I mean, there was some really vague discussion way back in when First Ed came out that it was like an earlier age of Exalted, or that Exalted was an earlier age of Scion.
No, that's what was talked about, but in the
the new version Exalted is the way before World of Darkness. Now, right,
is the way before World of Darkness. The idea was it went like Exalted for like 10,000 years, and then Scion for 10,000 years, and then now we're in the World of Darkness. I think they dumped all of that, but it was how it was explained when Exalted first came out, and then kind of.
I don't know if they're going to want to tie it to like the Trinity universe kind of stuff.
I don't know.
Which kind of has a similar system.
Is that not Asperger's?
Adventure.
No, what's Aberrant?
Aberrant, yeah. They talked about if you're interested in those game lines, they talked about those a lot in the AMA too. We didn't pay as much attention.
Yeah, they talked about Exalted a lot, but I think they'll actually end up keeping it separate. I think one of the settings may be how to mix it with World of Darkness.
Yeah, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
To see how
We've talked about how it's kind of mythologically impossible, but it could be a setting within it that could work.
Yeah, it's a new edition. They might do new stuff with it that makes it less impossible than it is right now.
Yeah. Then are we allowed to say the thing that we know?
I think so. Which thing that we know?
The one thing.
The big thing that we know? Yes, I think we're allowed to say that as long as we don't tell anybody anything about it.
Okay. Well, we don't know anything, so we can tell them that.
So you can tell people that.
Yeah. So Joe Carricker, or Caracker. What did I say his name was?
You said Caracker, which I'm pretty sure is wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Carricker.
Okay. He contacted us, thanks to a lot of you guys posting on the AMA, to check out our site. Eventually, he did check out our site later that evening, and he was very impressed. And he said he would like us to involve us, if possible, in the project. He's not sure in what way, but we did sign NDAs. So
even if we find anything,
when we find out,
tell you
if we find out stuff, we will then not be able to talk to you about it, and that may end up affecting what we do or how we do stuff. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but I think as a resource, one of our most valuable things is having this community
Yes.
and being a place where we communicate with the community back and forth about stuff. So I think if they're bringing us on, part of that reason would be because of our resource talking to
it's
you
because
guys.
of all you awesome guys that,
Yes.
you know, liked us enough and thought we were talking about enough cool stuff to go to the AMA and say, hey, you should look at these
So
guys.
huge thanks for that.
You guys are
because
awesome.
then they did. And hopefully that turns into something that we get to work on.
It
what
might
we do.
not. We might end up
Yeah.
doing nothing for them, or we might just be consultants or something, or we might write something. We have no idea.
We have no idea.
And we won't be able to tell you
Not at
if
all.
we do. But, I mean, even if we don't...
Well, that's what I'm saying, is I think part of bringing us on would be they would want us to tell people things occasionally.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, if we are allowed to tell you something, we will tell
Yeah,
you.
we will tell you as soon as we know. But they did say, we asked a lot of questions about what can we talk about in the video today. Like, we were like, maybe we can't talk about science fiction ever again.
Anything? Yeah.
And they were like, no, we think it'd be great if you went and talked to people. So I think they may use us as a communication to our fan base / community.
And I think in terms of the short term, we're going to keep working on stuff. You know, we're not going to like throw our little project out the window and stop working on it or anything like that. We're going to keep doing stuff. We're going to keep writing fiction. We're going to keep doing all the stuff we do for Scion currently as it stands, you know, over the next year, as far as we know. And there's no reason to think we're going to suddenly quit doing that. So.
Right. And then we were going to talk about what kind of stuff we would like to see. If we don't get picked up, then these probably won't be things that we can help enact. And even if we do, we may not have the power or pull to make any or some of these happen. But before I go on my spiel, do you have anything in Scion that you would like changed for second edition?
It's such a huge question that it's really hard to talk about. I think I love the scaling epics, but a lot of other parts of the system need to be fixed so that they make more sense. Like, the way physical things interact, like there's a lot of ink spilled on things like environmental problems and physical dodging and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it was hardly spilled, it was copy-pasted from Exalted.
Exactly, so I would like that to be...
Oh, that was the other thing he said.
He said we're not copy-pasting
We're not
from
copy-pasting
anything.
Exalted.
Yes.
Wait. That wasn't an email we weren't allowed to talk about.
Was the email before or after the NDA?
It was before.
Okay. I think we're fine.
I think we're fine. I think we'll get a pass, even if we're not fine.
Another thing I did forget from the AMA, though, is he said that there wasn't anything definite said, but they said you could probably make a safe bet on there being some fiction published for Scion, which I know a lot
Nope,
of
he
people
said...
someone asked if Scion fiction would happen, and he said, I'd bet on it.
He asked if Scion fiction would be in the stretch goals for the Kickstarter.
It wasn't that specific.
It was that specific. That was the person asking the question.
But I'm pretty sure it'll happen. So.
Okay. So...
It's a possibility. It's out there.
if we kickstart it well.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only... I mean, Mummy got like $300,000.
Yeah, something crazy.
I don't think we're going to get near
There's not as many
that
of
much.
us,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You guys that really loved like the Adventures of Donnie Rhodes and stuff in the original fiction, that kind of thing might happen again.
Yeah,
so.
or if you love her writing, that might be part of it. And we have a lot. They could just take it from us. We wouldn't have to write anything. So here's all the stuff that I think could use a good change. I think the Loa need to go.
They did say that the core 6 are coming back, but what I'd love to see is for them to be actually African.
Actually African, yeah. The Loa are weird and not worshipped as gods kind of by anyone. I think they could be a really cool supplement. It is true. Only Shango. The only one who makes it as an actual god is Shango. Everyone else gets it as part of the Christian religion in the diaspora.
I would say Candomblé says no to you.
No.
The giant Brazilian religion of the Orisha.
Well, they're not Loa, though. They don't call them Loa.
They don't call them Loa.
Which is what I was talking about.
They do call them Loa in Santeria.
Yeah, but in Santeria, that is definitely Christian.
It's syncretized, but it's not Christian.
But they are spirits of the... they shouldn't be part of this.
But yes,
stop
anyway,
interrupting
we'll
me.
stop talking about that.
I'm going to edit this.
Don't edit it.
Why not?
Because we want to just continue on. It's organic.
We're going way too... Okay. So now I'm completely lost. Yes, so that needs to be changed. I think the power scaling is actually too low. I think Hero is fine scale-wise. I think Demigod starts to pick up, and then I think there's not enough of a lifted god. A lot of people complain that there's too much of one, and I'd actually just like to see more. In my games, there's actually more of a lift. A
cool thing that I saw someone say in the AMA comments was that a single person who is 1 legend higher should be able to defeat like 4 people 1 legend lower than them. Like that's a good metric.
I wish that's what he actually said, because that's what I agree with. But what he said was, I think a group of demigods should be able to beat a god, and then a group of heroes should be able to beat a demigod. Which
that's wrong.
That's the opposite.
That's the opposite of that. Well,
I agree with that. I agree with what you said. Yeah.
I thought it was that one, which I totally agree with, but whatever. By the way, on the subject of Law, New World versus Old World, there's a post about that coming out like tomorrow, I think. So we're gonna talk about that at length then.
Okay. I think Fate Bonds could use a actual write up in the books. I think they're such an important part of everything that it was very silly that they didn't get a big chunk. My main concern is that they're not going to have enough page space and writing for all the stuff they want to include. I don't know how many books they plan on putting out or how much money they want to invest in it.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to do the Hero Demigod God split either, if they're going to try to do more of a like the whole scale in one book and then added stuff later. I have no idea.
I'm really not sure. That's how they've been doing it with the V20s.
Like the whole scale at once?
They do everything at once, yeah. They put it all in the main book. So I don't know how it's going to work. I really need new art. It's been brutal that in the newer books we get like half-assed art.
Yeah, the Izada was mostly reused art.
The Izada was horrible. Oh my god! And most of Companion. I don't want to say most. A lot of Companion.
There was some good new art in Companion.
There was some good new art, but then like they took that cover on the front page and then they would take faces out of it and put it in other things. Yeah. And be like, oh, is this other person?
You get that with all the. Not that I would say you have to spend a lot on the PDF adventures, but the PDF adventures are all just recycled out too. Like the Seeds of Tomorrow and all that stuff.
I think purviews could be cleaned up. I think they're kind of like not a hodgepodge, but like I like symmetry and I like system, and one purview having 20 boons and one purview having 18 boons and one purview having only 1 at level 1 and then the other one having like 5 at level 3 or something. Like I don't like that.
Ooh, I have something. This is the perfect time for my crazy desire to split Sky and Thunder into 2 different purviews. I want that to happen. I think it should happen. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Putting that out there, everybody.
Putting that out there. Ooh. I think that's about it. I don't know. I like
There's just
all
so
the
much
attributes.
stuff, like...
I think abilities could use a little rework. I'm not sure exactly what I would do with them.
Yeah, they're a little bit difficult right now. I think it's... He mentioned that they're already going to work on virtues, which I think would be really good, that like to really bring virtues into the game, make them matter more, make them
I mean,
not optional things you can throw away.
A whole bunch of it is we think that our system should be the system. So a lot of the stuff we've already kind of rewritten, obviously we think should be appropriate. The big things I'm hoping for is a sticking to mythology, a making of Fate Bonds important, and a making the entire world work. Like I had to do a lot to make the world make sense with how Fate Bonds work and how the scaling works and how Fate Bonds like add to God's power. And I think all of that is really important. Like he'd be able to look at the world and be like, okay, this all makes sense. I can understand why these things are happening. The gods aren't interfering on Earth because of this, but we're allowed to interfere on Earth because we don't have the Fate Bond thing. But as we become gods, it becomes more and more difficult and worse for us.
I'd be interested in a more even-handed treatment of Titans and antagonists. Like instead of being the flat, we're going to make all Titans crazy evil people, just so that you know that they're the antagonists. Maybe use more of their personality from mythology. Give them motivations that aren't always just I'm evil and want to eat everybody. And that might be more interesting. Give you more options than just being like Tethys is now a drowned machine for no reason. It's just happening. I
think a lot of people will be very happy with weapons getting fixed. I don't have a problem with it because I don't care. But some nice how weapons work would be very nice. I've already made a system that fixes it, but I don't think my system is perfect, and if we could get a system that's really good.
A lot of the things I think I really want to see are things that we've kind of fixed, but that aren't perfect. Like Fate Bonds, our Fate Bond system I really like. It works really well, but it's not perfect, it's too bulky.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a Fate Bond system that works really well and is really effective, but that is not
that's nice
so
and
brutal
simple.
The way ours is.
Yeah, no, I agree. Same thing with relics, and like the making of relics.
Yeah, a relic system that works better would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 5-dot scale is just cripplingly, like, something's got to give there.
Yeah.
Either making points worth more or do something different or doing completely different from the point system, I don't even know, but something different from the way it's done in the original books.
And then, like we do on our side, I would like a real strict who gets what purviews and attributes and stuff would be very nice.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
Gosh. Yeah, and it'd be interesting if they wanted to give guidelines for playing signs of not Legend 12 gods. Because right now, theoretically, you can do that in the system, but they never mention it, and they don't give you any guidelines for, like, how do I figure out what a non-Legend 12 god has? How do I work that with my players. So it'd be interesting to give a nod to that instead of assuming that everybody wants to play a Scion of Thor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just like pretty much everything we've done on our website kind of is just, these are all things that we thought needed to be fixed, and so we messed around with them. So we would love to see those things fixed. Either the same way we did them because we think it's awesome, or some new way that is awesome that we don't know about yet. So it's so much stuff that it's even hard to think about.
Yeah, it's hard to think about it. I really just want, it's got to be nice, it's got to be bright, it's got to be flashy, and it's got to be able to catch the eyes of people who are seeing it online, so we can get in new people. And
yeah.
the way we're going to be able to continue making Scion products is not just us supporting it, but us getting more and more people interested.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem with the first edition of Scion was because it was so broken rules-wise when it came out that a huge amount of the gaming community just discarded it. They said, this game is broken, it doesn't work, so we're just not going to get it. And, like, that's still a problem even now if you go to, not the White Wolf forums, because the folks on the Scion forums have been messing around with it a while, and they love it, and they know how to fix it. But, like, if you go to different forums, like if you went to RPG.net, and you start talking about Scion, like, the first 5 posts will be someone saying, stop playing that game, it's broken, just do something else. And, you know, it would be great to get people back in to say, look, here's a second edition, it works so much better, it's so much more coherent, and then get people who really maybe weren't mythology nuts, so they didn't stick with it, but now that it has a good system are interested in it again. We could get a lot more people in.
Yeah, I think it's a really good selling point, especially people who are our age, who had the Hercules and the Xenas, and now with the Percy Jackson out. I think there's a lot of room to grow and sell the brand. I think it could be one of the White Wolf's Onyx Path's most popular brands, but I think it's got to be done right, and it's got to work out the gate. It can't be broken out the gate. I think that's the most important part, is people need to be able to play it, pick it up, know what's happening, and play it right out of the gate, and that's going to be the most important part.
I think it'd be good to see, maybe not, they don't have to use our nature system, but if you're going to keep natures, do something with them that matters more.
No, I think nature's doing something that matters.
Again, that's just don't copy-paste an old system that doesn't work. Which, so.
That's the other thing.
I think they're aware of all of that stuff.
And this is something I want to do with, we'll probably end up doing with our PSPs anyway, but what I think would be really interesting was if each PSP had something that changed the character sheet. So like Arete has Arete dots, and that's really cool. I don't know all of the different things that it could have. For Norse we have like the extra strength and stuff on the character sheets. I really like my idea for, she's working on the Maya PSP, of having an actual like mini Mayan calendar that you kind of rotate through, as like, so your PSP is all about like moving through it, and you have different stuff as you move through it. So stuff like that on your character sheet that make you very, very different from everybody else, so the Pantheons are really different, that you get a really different feel.
Yeah, stuff that differentiates the Pantheons more would be really great, because right now, they have PSPs and they have virtues, and then everything else is pretty much the same. And while I don't want it to be crippling, like you can't do stuff if you're in this Pantheon, I would like there to be more that says, you know, an Egyptian Scion is really different from a Norse Scion, and here's why. I think that would be cool and help players have more of a sense of individual, like, I'm really, you know, part of this particular culture I'm interested in, or whatever, instead of just being, well, it could be exactly the same thing with that other guy's the Thunder God, and no one would know the difference.
And as long as we're kind of just throwing out things that could be neat. Yeah, pipe dreaming. It'd be neat if there were maybe more attributes. Like something like that could be cool. I don't know which ones they would be.
Bring back Resolve and do away with the weird resist system.
Oh, that's true. I would be really happy with getting rid of resist system.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the simplest way to do it. Just be like, we're going to have 10 attributes. We're going to bring in Resolve, which is what World of Darkness uses, and that'll just be your resist stat.
No, World of Darkness uses, there's a social resist stat as well.
Composure also.
Composure, yeah.
Well, I don't know if we need a social resist and a mana resist, though.
I don't think
so.
Is that
too much? I
don't think so. Because I like there being some investiture into those things, but I'm not sure where to do it. I don't think integrity is the right place for it.
I think integrity could maybe help. I think integrity is a cool stat, and I don't want it to go away. But it's by itself, it's just, I mean, obviously in the original system, it's just busted, because either you can never win resisting anything after you're like Legend 3, or you're using the system where you spend a willpower and then no one can ever beat anyone past Legend 3. It's just like, but I don't know if you're gonna do.
But you know, while we're just thinking about it, I did always like the. I love appearance. That's my problem here. Is I love appearance for Scion, but I was thinking with having positive and negative appearance, like those splitting off could be maybe done better somewhere else.
You mean just having something other than an appearance stat that takes care of that?
Maybe, or just being 2 stats.
You can buy positive
appearance
or negative
you can buy
appearance?
either or, but not switch between. I'm not sure I like the switching between.
I don't know. I mean, there are guys that do switch between.
There are, I know. Maybe they would have to buy one. But I do like in New World of Darkness, that every all the three trees, all the three different kinds of attributes. So for physical, it's strength, dex, stamina, and that's power, flexibility, and soak. And then social has a power and a flexibility and soak. It's charisma, manipulation, composure.
The problem with that, though, is because we love appearance. It doesn't fit into any of those things.
Exactly. Unless appearance was your composure, but I don't think that works as well either. So yeah, I don't know where to go with that either. And I don't see, like, it would be hard to give gods just the soak stat. Like, which gods have composure as their incline?
Yeah,
like, I'm not sure that's something that comes up as much. You don't hear the stories. There's not as many stories about the god who resisted all the things. There are some, but there aren't a ton. But I would like some stuff happening there. I think it could be really interesting. I think that's...
Our Scion wish list is really long. We're going to think of things all night. We're going to be like, oh, could have talked about that.
What are some things you guys want? I know we talk about it. There's a whole thread going on in the White Wolf forums about it. Like, that was like, I want Batman Scion. So, if we could have a discussion here that was less crazy, that would be interesting.
Yeah, we're always interested to hear what you guys think. Not that we can necessarily make anything happen, because that's probably not true. But
yeah. So seriously, like, we definitely always listen to you guys, and we always, have our own ideas and want to do our own stuff. We probably, definitely at this point, have zero power to enact any changes. And I don't think we'll ever really have, like, a whole lot of power, even if we're kind of working on something. And our cat will not shut up.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
She's upset.
But other than that, I think that's everything. Yeah, African Pantheon, the Orisha is coming well.
The roster's finished. We're working on a PSP now.
Yeah, I think the roster's a little light. I want to do something new with the roster that Ann and I are kind of fighting about.
Yeah.
Haha, what if I asked them if they want to do
That's
that?
a good point. Let's ask about it.
Okay, so here's one of the things that I want to do with Pantheons in general. And that's, so you got a bunch of people who are in the Pantheon, right? So if you have the Dodecatheon, you have all the Dodecatheon gods, and they're all statted out, and they all have Arete. But what if there's some that don't fit in the Dodecatheon? I would say maybe Hecate fits into this category.
Or Janus, or people like
Janus and Terminus. Important gods who are kind of part of the culture, but aren't part of that actual thing. And I'm not talking about like a Loki to an Odin. Like Loki's definitely an Aesir. That's all there. But how do you deal with people who are kind of around the culture, but not necessarily the big, like, the stories aren't about them. Like, they're definitely a different culture. Looking at it, your Hecates, your Cernunnos as part of the Irish, like, he's not involved in any of their myths. He's obviously not there. He's not Tuatha. But he is there. It's great to have him. The Gauls can't be their own pantheon. And you can't write PSPs for, like, one or two people. That's just kind of a waste. Like, PSPs are super fucking hard. They're the thing we spend the most time trying to work on. They're ridiculous, and we fight the most over them. The Bogovi went through like 9 drafts.
If our marriage falls apart, it will be because of PSP.
Yeah, it will be because of PSP. So what if, when we're doing the Africans, we're doing the Orisha. The
Orisha, which are the gods of the Yoruba people.
God, it's so hard. So that's not going to include someone like Anansi.
Because Anansi's not actually Yoruba, he's Ashanti, which is a completely different African tribe.
But an African tribe that probably will never get its own supplement. Like there's not enough there.
3 or 4 gods really that are major enough over there. So
and
it's not big enough for
even those gods like are major like.
Well, one of them's probably Titan. And then
yeah. Like one of them's probably Titan, and a couple are like Legend 9 and 10, and then there's Cat. Come on, and then there's Anansi. So what if we did the Orisha, and there's like 8 or 9 of them. I think actually there's like 7.
7 or 8.
And we're gonna make a PSP for them, and they're gonna have all their powers. And then we, at the same time, do Anansi. He'll be playable, but he won't be able to have their PSP. And so he'll be an option for people. He won't have a PSP. And that'll be kind of... Cernunnos would fit into the same category. Maybe Janus from Rome would fit into the same category. If we didn't do a Maya supplement, can you think of a Maya god that might fit under that?
There's a few, like, they're all letters. Like God Q, probably not playable.
Right. So, that
doesn't even make sense, though. Because we're talking about across different cultures, right?
Yeah.
So, like if you had a Zapotec god that you thought was really cool, but he's not really Aztec, and he's not really Maya. That kind of thing.
So we would stat them alongside, give them their associateds, and then people would be able to play them. They would be on the website, probably in their own little area, but they wouldn't be able to use their PSP because that part doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for us to lump them in and let them have the PSP, and because that's not really their culture, so none of that makes sense.
The core religion of the Yoruba is very different from the core religion of the Ashanti, so it doesn't really make sense that Anansi would be doing the same things as Yoruba gods, because he isn't one. But, people still want to play Anansi. So, there's a couple of options we could do here. What we could do is we could stat Anansi and we could stick him on the page with the Yoruba gods and say, okay, look, he's not really Yoruba, but he hangs out with them, you could still play him. Or we could just do a completely separate section on the site that's like, here are some gods that are cool enough to be playable, but don't have a full pantheon behind them. And, they're kind of separate individuals that you could work with. The biggest problem is always going to be PSP, because it's pretty brutal as a player to not have a PSP.
Right, and so you have to kind of accept that out the gate. But
unless your ST is willing to just write you a PSP when you pick that character up, but I would not expect it because that's a lot of work.
That's way too much work, and it's not. That ST's time could be spent better somewhere else.
Yeah, I guess it's
don't ask for it.
It's an open door because I think most STs will just say go ahead and use X other PSP.
And we're telling you that's a bad idea and you shouldn't do that.
But we can't stop you, so.
Yeah. Let us know what you think about that. I feel again that you guys have probably not listened to this far.
It's probably fine.
Okay. All right. Well, we're done here then.
All right. See you guys later.
Later, y'all. Enjoyed the draft.